Welcome to Fly on the Wall. We are your hosts. I am Jonathan Matthias Lassiter.
And I am Marquita Moten.
So, who the hell are we?
Well, I am a master's level Bruja from the South.
Brew ha ha ha.
And
Oh, that was it.
I think that's enough. This episode 3.
You know what? That's more than enough. And I am a licensed clinical psychologist, professor, and author, award winning. You know,
Yes.
and this is episode 3 of Fly on the Wall. Well, as you can see, I'm in my onesie today.
I had noticed.
Because I'm weary.
Uh-huh.
And, I said, today it's just going to be one of them days. Now, I have been reading some research articles because I'm doing a lit review for an article I want to write about the lack of research we have on Black same-sex couples in the health domain. So I've been doing that like here and there, nothing too heavy. But other than that, I made pancakes for me and Brian this morning.
That sounds good.
And I'm in my onesie today.
Yeah. I'm a strong proponent of having lazy days. I realized throughout my personal experiences the past couple of years that a lot of the get up and do something mentality is a pressure that I put on myself. And I'm sure there are external factors like upbringing and all that kind of stuff that put me in that frame of mind. But part of my self-care is being gentle with myself now. So if I want to wake up at 11 and take a nap at 1, I'm going to do that because sometimes you need it. And then, managing symptoms of PCOS, there is a tremendous amount of fatigue. And I think instead of pushing myself to work through that, and for other women who are managing PCOS, pushing through that is not always the healthiest thing to do because then it stresses us back out and then continues the cycle of imbalance. So, yeah, sometimes you need to lay around, do nothing. Sometimes I stare at the ceiling. I put on, there are these morning meditations that are just instrumental on YouTube. And I choose the ones that are like 528 hertz because that's supposed to be like the frequency of happiness and uplifting or whatever that your body can attune to.
Okay.
And so I'll turn those on and sit around the room, stare out the window.
But y'all just learned something. I didn't know that about the hertz.
Oh yeah, 528 hertz. That's where you want to be.
Listen, I'm gonna go around saying that like I knew all along.
You gonna get a t-shirt.
Yeah. 528.
How you doing? 528.
Right.
How you? Yeah. And then there are other frequencies that are supposed to be good for like spiritual awakening. I think 432 is supposed to be good for that, or like third eye work and stuff like that. But
see, that's why I love you, because you be knowing all this stuff, child.
Girl, just learn, because I'm random. I'm a Capricorn. We like random facts. But also it feeds into, the spiritual work that I love doing and that really, really fulfills me in a way that nothing else does. So
What you say? Random, like some of you here today.
Some of you here today. Yeah.
But you were talking about getting up at 11 and taking a nap at 1. It reminded me of the song for Wizard of Oz. And I'm blanking on the exact lyrics right now, but it was like, we get up and start to work at 1, take an hour lunch, and then at 2, we're done.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes that's what your day need to look like, you know.
But it took me like literally, I've seen the movie at least 80 times before I realized that they didn't do no work, because they got up at noon, started to work at 1, take an hour lunch, and did at 2, they're done. So I was just like, so you just had lunch.
That was their work for the day, lunch. Yeah.
So
I
I
used to
was
do that
like,
when I worked at YP. I remember we would have our very leisurely lunch times that would often extend to about 2 hours.
that was me when I was working at Chest, and I knew I was getting ready to leave too, and that environment was so toxic. But I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna be gone for 2 hours. No one will miss me, and they never did. At least they said that. So,
Oh my gosh, you just brought up a topic for another day. Toxic work environments.
uh,
How to
I'm so glad I
deal
got
with it.
delivered from that.
As am I.
Well, child, I sent them a letter of resignation. I don't know if I told
You did tell me. So we can talk about how that felt.
you. It was very much mixed emotions. I know people say that, but it very much was.
Mhm.
Um, and a frenetic energy. Um, but when because it felt like I was like doing something wrong by leaving my colleagues, and it's just like, you're a professional. Like, this is what professionals do. Like, they make decisions that are good for their careers. This is a decision that's good for your career.
Mhm.
Um, but something was like, oh, you're leaving them. They were so nice to you. Well, some of them, my department members were nice to me. Other folks, sure. So it was like, oh, you're leaving them, and they had all these plans for me to teach courses in the spring, and students emailing me, can I get on the waiting list for your class? And now I'm not gonna be there. I'm like, ain't nobody getting on the waiting list. So, but so yeah, but people started to respond in the emails like, "Oh, I heard you leaving," so and so and so forth. And I've had some nice exchanges with some folks, and so that's helped me release. I'm starting to release now.
That's
Um, but yeah, but it wasn't. I hope where I'm going isn't a toxic work environment. It didn't seem like it when I interviewed, of course. Otherwise, I would not have said yes.
right.
But you never know until you get there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up something that I think is common for our age group
Mm-hmm.
because it's like technically we're millennials, but we being older millennials, we often ascribe to who was before us, Generation X.
X.
I don't know who it
I
was.
think they're X.
Okay, yeah. So Generation X. So it's kind of like we have both qualities within us.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that you felt kind of bad
Mm-hmm.
about leaving your colleagues. And so it's like walking that line between feeling some type of loyalty
Mm-hmm.
towards those who have been supportive in whatever way throughout your experience there, while also having the this isn't serving me any longer, I'm about to be out
Right.
type of mentality that is standard for millennials.
Right. Well, I just looked it up. X is right. So X is.
Okay, yeah. So it's always interesting to me when that kind of duality comes up for us. And yeah, you just made me think of that when you were expressing how you felt about the resignation.
Well, and I think that's something. I think we're getting to something now that, like, It's common, and I think a lot of people beat themselves up for it, but it's the complexity of emotion. We rarely feel just one way about,
Absolutely.
right? It's usually a lot of mixed emotions. That's why even with my patients, I'm always like, okay, so you're angry, but what's under that? Or you're confused, but what other emotions are accompanying that confusion? You know, um, so it's a yeah. So it's I think the reason why people beat themselves up or it feels uncomfortable, because it definitely felt uncomfortable for me in that moment, is because it's it's just such a weird feeling, you know? And I think that we are not socialized to handle the complexity of things. It's either this or that, either or, and rarely are we socialized to be in the this or be in the both and, you know. Or as you know, Jonathan says in his play, and not play, his poem, In the Gray, you know, and it very much is a gray emotions in that sense.
Mm-hmm. So, what is weird about the feeling to you? Explain weird.
Yeah. Very good, very good.
Thought I was gonna let you slide, didn't you?
um no, so I think weird for me was it was like, no, but you want to grow, you want to, you're going to be going somewhere where you can do more research, like you're excited about it, you have a smaller teaching load which you're excited about, um it's more money which you're excited about, so why are you so sad? Because you've been saying this is what you wanted for the last 3 years, so why are you now all of a sudden sad? And it's just like, I think that was the weird part. Is like, why are you saying? And that's the rational part of me. Like, why you say it? And then the emotional part of me is like, but it's not that simple. And it's like, I mean, and the fact of the matter is that I made some real connections with people.
Right.
And those, while I'm happy to be moving to another position for my professional growth, the people, those are like
Yeah.
real people, and some of them were very sweet and kind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that for most jobs, it really does boil down to the people that are there with you. And I've had a similar experience. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I keep a notice of resignation on the, on the flash drive. But that's one way that I honor myself in my journey, because I'm fully aware that there's greater that I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime I have a job building somebody else's dream, I know that's going to be temporary, regardless of how long that period of temporariness is. I know it's temporary. So that's why I keep a notice of resignation on the flash drive. But I also had some very good coworkers in the past that I feel very connected to.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we got laid off from YP, that was a really hard experience for me. And one, because I have this, I realized this is not like my awareness immediately after it happened. But I came to the realization that I carried this sense that losing a job or being fired or being laid off was due to having done something wrong. And so I had like this internal process that I had to go through where I reminded myself, not only did we not do anything wrong, it's just business. The company was bought out, and those of us who elected not to move were laid off. That's just how it was. But that was a whole process for me. And then as time went on, I did miss my coworkers, but I also reminded myself how much I complained about that doggone job every day. I was literally at my desk like, I hate this job. What am I even doing? Why am I here? And then, not having it as an option was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? Where's my job? But no, when I reminded myself, girl, you hated that job every day. Then it was like, you know what, you're right. So, according to the law of attraction, which we can get into later, essentially there was like a collective consciousness that created that situation for all of us to be able to move forward. Mm-hmm. So that's where I am now in that moving forward piece of it, which feels a whole lot better. Right. But I agree with you. It's definitely a combination of feelings and thoughts, and sorting through all of that is essential for you to feel, I guess, free enough to continue growing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, when I think about, because I hear you like, girl, but you hated it. And I was just like, I think it's just the process of letting something go or something terminating or ending. Yeah. I think whether we wanted it to or not, whether we had prayed for it to end or not.
Right.
The fact of it ending it triggers some grief, a grief process, big or small. And I think that's probably what is, comes in and takes over.
Yeah.
Emotions, because I think about even patients that are like in bad relationships and they know the relationship is bad, but it ended and now they're like, yeah, but it's just like, yeah, but remember you would say how they never treat, yeah. But yeah.
Right. But there were 3 good times.
Right. Three whole good times. Right.
But it was 10 years.
Right.
So yeah, I feel you. I like that you brought up grief as well, because a lot of people don't give themselves permission to expand their awareness of grief to being about anything. It doesn't have to be the death of a person, a loved one. I grieved when I had to move. My last year of grad school, we were required to do a full-time, unpaid internship. So I was broke and I had to move in with my mom, which fortunately I was able to do, and she had the space and we have a great relationship and everything. But there was a very strong period of grief that I went through, grieving not having my own anymore, not having my own space anymore. And then I guess if you can do some preliminary grieving, then also kind of grieving the unknown, grieving where I am, and also just being unsure of where I'm going.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, it's very interesting, the emotional process, and even as people that are always navigating our own personal emotional process and helping people navigate their emotional process, it's just never cut and dry. It's never predictable. It just is what it is, and the only way to get through it is through it.
Right.
And I think the goal for me, at least, is always to try to learn something, even if it's something small, and that helps me be better, as I move forward in some way. But yeah, so I guess part of that is probably why I'm weary too, feeling a little weary today and want to be in my onesie and comfortable and curl up. I was sleeping before we got on this. I was taking a nap because we said, I got up, made breakfast, and took a nap.
That's a full day right there.
Full day. Yes, honey. Yes, but I think that's a good place to leave it for today.
Yeah.
the emotional process for folks, because we're all dealing with a lot of varied and mixed emotions, from the individual level stuff, our personal stuff, to families, to loved ones, to the government, to the globe. And so just honoring that, I think, like you said, like expanding the concept of grief, it can be about anything, and honoring that, I think, is really important.
Yeah, I agree.
So this has been Fly on the Wall.
Yeah.
And so we have a new email address, flyonthewallMH, which stands for mental health. FlyonthewallMH at gmail.com. Send your questions there, whatever topics you might want us to talk about, send it there. Also, like, subscribe, share this video, so you can help people, honor their emotional process. So, and hopefully this video helps you do that for yourself as well. Thank you, Keita.
Thank you, Jonathan.